Hello, everyone. I'm Barbie
Hello.
Johnson.
And I am Tisha Winkler. Yes, we're the book breakers. Welcome,
That's
Uh,
your guest.
Kevin
yes.
James.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm glad to be here today. This is definitely different for me. It's like saying I'm on the other side of the camera today. I'm not the host. I'm the guest. Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
So, Mr. James, can you give us a short synopsis of who you are?
Who I am short. Oh wow. That's talking to a person who talks a lot, saying in one sentence, how do you describe yourself? Well, I'm an entrepreneur, obviously. I started many businesses. I wouldn't say they were all successful, but they were all learning. And I've
Yes.
been doing that for a lot, like the last 10 years. Everything from video conversions to video production to weddings. I even
Oh,
did a memorial service on a tennis court once and had sound equipment. I was a DJ. Um, yeah, all kinds of stuff. So I've done all that kind of stuff and got involved with it. I started a ministry called Amplifier Ministries, was help
mm,
churches
Well, that's
and help them with their media and get them out of problems when they have technical difficulties. So we all know something about that, don't we?
yes.
So I did that and I merged all the companies together and I became the Millennium Beat a few years ago and God put it on my heart. And so I guess that's a quick synopsis. We can go more into details if you want in a bit, but that's kind of a short Reader's Digest version. Now, probably people are out there and say, Reader's Digest, what's that?
mm,
I don't think
that
people
is
know what that is today.
that is awesome. But I was listening to your voice, and
Yes.
when you said you had been a DJ, I said, "Oh, that's what
Yes.
he sounds like." Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I also have that. I was also in choir, and I'm what they call a baritone bass.
Ooh.
I'm a little bit deep. Yeah. So it's like I try not to sing, because I wish I had the talent. I mean, I wish I could say I could really sing good, but I can sing okay at times. I
Mm.
know when I can sing, and I know when I don't. And when I don't, I shut up.
And yes, Mr. Kevin James, how did you start your career as a videographer, photographer, and a web video?
Okay. I started in God, it was probably in the mid '70s. I was in junior high, and I had a photography class. And first thing that we did was made those little pocket cameras that you put the film in, and you punch a hole in it, and the instant cameras. We were making them before they were ever popular. We did that, but I was a photographer. And then in the 8th grade, they asked me to be the yearbook photographer, so I did our yearbook for my 8th grade class. And stuff like that. So that's where I really started. And then I get odd. How I always tell people is, that was the '70s, and in the '80s I got into video. I did
Okay.
football games and editing the old-fashioned way where you had a VCR and it moves and cut, and it was just a pain in the neck compared to today's editing. Today's so much easier. In the '90s, I got into DJing. I did DJing, and then from there, and then Millennium, I started getting into helping churches, working with them with their media department, helping them live stream. And then 2010, I started working for a church, and I'm on a second church now. I worked for 5 years at one church, helping them with. Basically, I created their website. What else do I do with them? I did audio for a little while until they replaced me and they put somebody else there. And I just dealt with the audio recording. We did a weekly podcast. Small church of 50-something people, made it sound like it was a church of 1,000. It was just really well, done. And then I moved in 2016 to the location I am now, and I'm working for a church, and I run their media department. And we broadcast live every Sunday morning at 10:45 a.m. Eastern time. So we do that. So that's how basically, and a recap of kind of like where I've gone from and to where I'm now.
Ooh, awesome.
But, Mr. James, of all those things that you do, which is the one that you like the most?
Actually, what I like the most is talking to people like you guys.
Oh, yes, I could tell.
Yeah. I'm you wouldn't believe that I'm a very shy person. I'm really shy.
No.
Yeah. Well, I was. When I was younger, I was very shy. I always joke about it. When I was in high school, we had to do a video. It was back in the early 80s, and we had video, and we had to do a presentation. And when I got done, I didn't know what to do. I was done. So I just jumped out of the screen, literally jumped out of the screen because I was, I couldn't talk in front of people. And I got involved with, everybody has heard this name at one sort of Amway. I got involved with Amway, and I got to hang around with some of the millionaires and millionaires' kids, and it kind of broke me a little bit. I mean, I used to have to introduce people and stuff like that, and get up there and show people the plan, and people I didn't even know, and go to different places. And I like traveling. I like doing stuff. That's why you can see behind me, you have a world map, and that's kind of what I wanted to do, is encouraging the world one story at a time is my tagline for my company. So I kind of like doing that. I like going out and meeting new people. I like doing it on the computer, but I'd rather do it in person.
Ooh. And Mr. Kevin James, what has been some highlighted moments in your ministry, and what motivates you to uplift others?
I'm trying to think of a highlight moment. I think is when people hear a story, and I've had some. I do basically different podcasts. I do a love story. I do topic shows. I do inspirational miracle shows. I do shows on which deals with topic like sex trafficking, people being abused when they were younger, and getting over the trauma of. I did an interview with somebody that did improv to help fight sex trafficking. So I like those kind of things. I did one with sex. Well, not sex. I did one with. We just talked about sex trafficking. I did one with a guy that does stocks, and he was a real estate agent and stuff like that. So I've done those. I just like I'm meeting new people, and it's hard to see right now, but I have pins on everyone in the United States wise of every place I've done a physical interview or a computer interview, and I want to hit all around the world. I want to be able to do interviews, and I do a Spanish show. Obviously, I do not speak in Spanish. I know the famous word bonita.
Hola,
¿cómo está? How are Benye or something like that is like bathroom or something. I can't remember, but I don't really know a lot of Spanish. But I do have a co-host that speaks fluent Spanish. He's from Puerto Rico, and he'll do some interviews. And I'm trying to get him to do some computer interviews so that way we can interview. One of my goals in the future is to go to countries. I know some the Franz family. Chris Franz is the evangelist for not Ecuador, Ethiopia and stuff like that. And I want to go with him, and I want to interview people there because miracles happen. It seems like so much more outside the United States. And I always believe that miracles are going to, because that's what my passion was in the beginning. Was I believe God is just going to go crazy with miracles, and I want to tell people a story. There's a preacher, his name is Bill Johnson out of California, he used to say, when you give your testimony, you set the precedence for it to happen again. So if I'm talking to you and you have a story how God delivered you from trauma and you share it, and somebody's watching that story and says, hey, God did it for them, God can do it for me, because God's not a respecter of persons. So that's my ultimate goal, is to be able to find stories and get people to share them to help other people, because even if you just witness or talk to one person and they're changed, that's important. It was very important to that person. So that's what pushes me, and my passion is I would love to do this 7 days a week. That's all I'm doing is interviews, editing, and all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, you got to pay the bills. Yes. So you don't build a $5,000 studio on popcorn. I mean, you got to have some money. So it's so I have to work, unfortunately. But hey, but that's kind of a little bit of what motivates me.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
All right.
Something that you said about you do the love stories.
Yes, love stories. What I do is I find a couple and I sit down with them. Well, I mean, it could be it's kind of a love story about how okay. I mean, love with God or something like that. That's fine. It doesn't anything else. But I don't do those other kind of shows. Sorry. No. It's basically what I do is I did this with my, yeah, yeah. Is I did it with my pastor and my boss, and I sat down with him and his wife and around the kitchen table, or a dining room table actually, and he told his story about how his life was from his birth up to the time he met his wife, and then I go back for the correct version with his wife. You know, it's like she goes to her life story, and then we join them together and like, okay, now you met. How is your life since then? And we found out some interesting thing about my pastor. My pastor's wife hooked up a little bit, and not in a negative sense of sexual wise, but when they were teenagers, she was kind of making out with a guy that I interviewed a couple months before that, and we were all friends. We all know each other. He didn't realize that they were, this is before they even met, so it wasn't like a marital sin or something like that. Is she was a teenager, he was a teenager. It's kind of like that. But it was funny. He called him up, put him on the speakerphone. He goes, "Hey, I hear around that you were kissing my wife." Yeah, it was funny, but but I knew him for a long time ago. I used to work for TBN, Trinity Broadcasting
Yes.
Network.
Woo, I'm glad you said it.
Yeah, so I worked for them for 12 years, and he worked with us there too, for him, and he worked there, and so basically love stories are neat because you see, my interview style is I have some questions, but I gotta go on what people's bios are and stuff, and I call myself the rudder. I keep is I I love telling the stories and just getting those kind of things, but it's just your phone threw me off now. I lost what I was thinking when. So that's okay. So ask me another question and I'll answer it. Then I'll have something to think about. Yeah, sorry if I'm making you guys laugh so much. I'm kind of not funny,
Woo, you just answered one of them, but Mr. Kevin James, how did your journey of podcasting start?
It started with a vision. A
Okay.
vision that I wanted to share the stories of people's miracles, and I try to get some people involved, and unfortunately they have since passed away and they didn't get involved, but they were encouraging and stuff like that, and I just came up with a concept. I came up with the name, the Millennium Beat, and people ask me, well, what's the Millennium Beat? Well, Millennium is not a group of age of people. It's a age of years. It's 1,000 years. And we're in that millennium now. Every 1,000 years is a millennium. It's not the new millennium like 2000 was, but it's 1,000 years. And where it came out with the Millennium Beat is it's the heartbeat of God. What is God doing in today's society? Because God is always speaking. God is always there. Are we listening? Some people not.
Yes.
So we're trying to. I'm very prophetic, prophet wise, and if we speak the voice of God, we try to speak what God is saying. So that's kind of what I'm doing. God told me one time, he says, "You're my amplifier." And that's where I came up with Amplifier Ministries, is you're my amplifier. And we're trying to, the company is trying to broadcast what some of the things that God is doing, and it can happen in other people's lives. So that's kind of it.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, Amplifier Ministries. Yeah, that was a full-fledged incorporate board of 3, and all kinds of things like that. I did that for a while, and that was where I was getting involved with churches, because a lot of times churches are like old Amway people, that you have one organization doesn't mingle with the other organization. Mm-hmm. Churches sometimes get that way too. It's like, oh, you go to that church, okay, we're not going to go to that church, because it's a Baptist church, or it's a Catholic church, or it's a Pentecostal church, or it's a white church, it's a black church, it's a brown church. It's like, and it just shouldn't. I think we're going to get in heaven. There is no Baptists. There is no Pentecostals. There is no Presbyterians. There's no Catholics. There's just children of God.
Amen.
So I think that's what we need on earth. So that's kind of the way it is. I work with all kinds of people. If you need help, I'm there.
Named helicopter over the city.
Harrison Ford?
No.
Harrison Ford.
Oh, Baltimore. I'm sorry.
Yes. Sorry, I don't know anybody in Baltimore, so.
Oh, but you remind me so much of him.
Is that a good thing?
That's a good.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And I'm trying to lose weight so my face will get a little thinner. Huh? Say that again? Say that again, what you just said. I missed you.
I see. That's a good thing. I just
Oh, okay.
can't remember his name
Yeah.
right now.
Well, at least you didn't call me like someone else I knew younger. She called me. She said I look like Tim Allen in the
I
first
was going to say that. I didn't want to say it though.
the first time the first Santa Claus when he kind of blew up a little bit. And I go, "What are you trying to tell me? I'm fat?" And this was from a teenage girl, So she says, you look. And then I sent her a picture of me looking like Santa Claus, and then she took me off Facebook. It was a joke. I said that's what she told me I look like, Tim Allen. And I go, "Geez, what are you trying to tell me?" But
yeah, you do.
yeah, I guess and somebody else told me I look like somebody else. Oh, what was it? I can't remember now. They said it was two people in a movie, and they said, no, not that one, the other one. And I can't remember what movie it was. It probably pop in my head later on, but it's just. And I get also too is it's so funny now. It's like people and yourself have done it, and which is okay. You don't understand. Kevin James is my stage name. Now it's my real name. It's my real name, but I don't pronounce or I don't notify people, and it's okay if they do. But I don't. My real name is Kevin James Kelly. So it's Kevin Kelly, but I go by Kevin James because when I was in DJing, that was my stage name, and I always like it. People call me KJ if there's another Kevin around or something like that, so it's easier. And but I get it on the phone call, like people call me up. Can I speak to Mr. James, please? I go, sorry, there's no Mr. James here, but if you want Mr. Kelly, there's here, and that's me. Yeah. So it's just funny, but because everybody is, and that's they think Kevin James because of that actor. I wish I had his money, but I think I was born before him, so I think I've been around longer than him. I think I'm older than him. Yeah. So, but Kevin James is famous for the Mall Cop, and also he was in King of Queens, I think it was, and then also Kevin Knows It All or some other show that he was on. So, but he was pretty good. So, but that's how I did those kind of stuff, So, what other interesting questions do you have for me? Stump the guest today.
Talk about what are your projections or things that you'll be doing in the future?
Yes.
Okay, as I said earlier, when I get more partners, partners are like Patreons. Patreons give money and they get The reason why I didn't go the Patreon route is because it's a lot of work. I mean, like I'll give you an example. I'm friend with a band called the Petersons. They're a bluegrass band out of Branson, Missouri. And they're having a reunion for their Patreon. So I'm flying out there to Branson in July to go to the reunion because I'm a small time Patreon. I don't give hundreds of dollars a month, but they do. They have people that give hundreds of dollars. But the band is like 7 members plus, so they need the money. But they give out Christmas cards and they do videos and they do chats, and depending on tiers that you're at, you get more, the more you give, the more you get, type of thing. And it's work. I mean, to do all that kind of stuff. So I got sponsors, which is people that believe in what I do, and they say, hey, I'll sponsor you. I have like one sponsor right now that's a real estate agent, and he donates every month. But it helps me a little bit keep floating a little bit. So if I take a day off a month that I can do one show, I would like it to be more, I like to have eight sponsors, great partners, so that's how I get kind of get a little revenue, because in my market of conversation, it's not like a tech show or a doctor's show or I'm not a celebrity, where a celebrity has thousands of people that have already been following them for what they like their acting, so they follow them.
Yes.
So they get advertisers and stuff like that. It's different with us because if this was my show and I was doing it, it'd be different this week than last week's show. Last week's show we were talking about sex trafficking, or we're talking about this. And next week could be about that was dead, now I'm alive. So it fluctuates. You might like one show but not like another show because it changes, and that's hard to keep people on a consistent basis, because it has to be, like me, I listen to certain podcasts, like I'm into space. the shuttle, not the shuttle now, but SpaceX and all that kind of stuff. So I watch all that stuff, but I follow them and I follow them. So they get a lot of people because they tune into a topic they like to hear. So but going back to the original question is my goal is to be able to take this show on the road. Take this. I want to get a 40-foot diesel pusher, motor coach. Some people call it a bus. Some people call it an RV. It's called different names, but it depends on. A full bus is like a Prevost bus or an MCI bus that's converted. These are factory made RVs, but then they're still a bus. I mean, I used to drive buses, 40-foot diesels. I used to drive up and down the East Coast. But my point is I want to go back. I want to go on the road. I want to be able to take this show on the road and sit down, bring you into the bus, sit you down, put a microphone on you, turn the cameras on, and tell me your story. And I can do it in your front yard, on your street or whatever, or your parking lot or somewhere, and just do every state. I can do 49 out of 50 states because I haven't really figured out a way to easily get the bus over to Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on the that would be going to be one big boat because those things aren't light. They're tons. I can't like 16, 17 tons maybe, or even more. But that's my ultimate goal. But unfortunately, I mean, anything's possible with God. Those things are costing brand new about almost $500,000 for a nice one. An elaborate one, you're talking $1 million or more for a nice elaborate bus. But maybe I'll start off small, maybe something like 30 or 50,000 or something like that, and then just work my way up. But that's my goal is to go on the road and hit every state I can possibly do and interview them in person. Right now, I'm doing it all by computer because it's how I set up my studio. It's very easy for me to do interviews that way. And I don't have to travel. I mean, I just did an interview a month or two ago to a girl in. I'm thinking New Brunswick, but it's far. It's up above Washington State, in Canada. So it's like, and I like to do some overseas. Some in Africa or different places like that, and that's why I want to get with the Spanish host and have them do some stuff. But yeah, that's my goal. That's what I really like to. I like this kind of stuff. It's just because until I get more sponsors. Sponsors, by the way, are people that want it. Like this show is sponsored by Gillette razors, type of thing.
Yeah.
Or it's a local, like a local church would be like, oh yeah, today's show is sponsored by Identity Church in Deltona, Florida. They meet every Sunday morning at, and I write my own stuff. And what's neat about this program that we're using to record, because we're using my software, is it transcribes everything and it does clips. It does. So that's what I put on TikTok. I put clips from every interview that I do. And that's something I never did before. I've always watched TikTok, but never added it. So I set up the Millennium Beat TikTok account and I'll do clippets. That's a new word. Clips of each interview that I do. And I try to do two of them. One when I've edited it when I just recorded, and then one on Facebook right before it airs. That way it gets people, excited about it. And that's the thing about social media. We got to share. We got to work together. We got to share each other's content.
Yeah.
That's the only way that it will get, it will get known and people can hear us. I'm trying to move my microphone. I just noticed it was in my glasses. And these are my new glasses, so this is the first time I'm shot with them. And they're supposed to be anti-glare. Yeah. Hey, glasses aren't cheap. I know, and glasses aren't as cheap as they used to be. When I bought glasses 7 years ago, it was $600. They're almost doubled. They're all double now. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's nothing's cheap anymore. Nothing's cheap. I wish it was.
Oh yes, I did. Yeah. Mr. Kevin James, what were some challenges you had opening your ministry studio, and what inspired you to want to expand your network?
Some of the challenge I had, and it's still a thing because it's really weird. You think as a Christian, people would want to share what God is doing in their life. I mean, but a lot of people, no, it's private. They don't. I said, wait a minute, you went through a test and have a testimony, but you don't want to share it. I mean, I'm not saying this, but it's almost feel like saying, aren't you a little selfish? Because, I mean, just being blunt, it's like you're saying God helped you get through something and you don't really want to help somebody else get through the same thing. And they don't. Private. I deal with these people that are sex addicts, or and I can't give information. I says, I'm not asking you for details. I'm not asking you for John Doe or Sally Doe and everything they did. But it's just weird. So that is one of the challenges. People, they're always some of them are just afraid to get on and talk about it. And I mean, I'm doing a lot of talking now because I get right because I'm the host, not the host. I'm the guest. Usually when I'm the host, I just ask questions and I don't say anything. I get to speak this time. This is unusual for me not to speak because I do it pretty well. But yeah, that's some of the challenges. It's trying to, I mean, I have at the point right now, if people want to be on the show and they get a hold of me, I will put them on the show. I will make time for them. It's just I don't have as much time because I was working for a TV station. I always tell people I worked for a TV station for 12 years. Then I took a little break and then I went for another TV station for 7 years. Well, they had a budget cut and I was the cut. So where I had a little free time to do some, once I got their work done, I had a couple hours left over. I would do some research on, Facebook and, be a guest or have a guest or whatever, and do, search the pages and stuff like that. That's how I would find people. I just don't have the time to do that anymore. So I will interview people, at word of mouth or anything like that, but they just need to get a hold of me. And once they do, we'll schedule something and I'll make time, but that's a challenge there too. So. It's just finding the time to do it. I love it, and I'll stay up late. I'm usually done working because I drive for a living too. I drive for Grubhub and DoorDash, but right now I'm specialized in DoorDash because it's making me a lot more money than Grubhub was. So I schedule myself basically from 7 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. at night. With a little breaks here and there. It's not like a full shift, but it's a pretty busy day. So if I have to do anything, most cases it's like editing or working because I still have a client that as I said, I work for a church. I mean, it's a client, because it's under my business. And so I got to do their 2 services a week, one on Thursdays and one on Sunday. And I do the control room because my office is it's inside of a church. So I have to do that. So that's a challenge in itself, is the balance and try to sleep. As I told you earlier about, taking a 5-minute nap or something like that, because I've learned, and then trying to, I've had some work done on my legs. I had some minor surgery or bypass surgery on my veins in my legs. So I have to walk more. And so I got a gym membership and I was really dreading getting it, not because I don't like pain, I just don't have the time. Now, the nice thing about this gym, it's open 24 hours a day, so I can go anytime I want, but it's still discipline of saying, amazing. Hey, I need, because my doctor says I need to walk at least 10 minutes a day. So I'm up to about 20 minutes every day, so, and that will increase. But that's a challenge in itself too, is balancing the time, trusting God, trusting God for finances, trusting God for the coach. That can be a challenge. It's doubt and unbelief, you have to cast that out, get rid of it here, get out of here, type of thing. So I hope that answers your question, about challenges.
And how did you want to expand?
The coach is one thing. I want to do that. And as I said, now that I've set up a nice studio, I mean, I literally have studio lighting, sound. I'm like, so when I'm looking at you, I'm looking directly through the camera to your faces. So it's there. And I got another monitor and I got a big screen television in front of me if I needed to look up something. So that's where I expand. As I said, I did that, and I did a kind of a dedication party. It was pretty good. After church on one day, I bought all the food, and we had bagels, and some guy donated 3 dozen Krispy Kreme donuts. So we had 3 dozen bagels. Yeah, and that was for breakfast, and then for lunch, I bought 5 rings. Publix. I think you have Publix up there. Publix grocery store. So I did that, and then we had chocolate chip cookies and all kinds of, and then a birthday cake because it was my birthday. So I threw myself a birthday, so that was fun. So it was good. We had 50 or 60 people there. So and people, they were early, and they said I need to do this more often. We got people to church early. So that's kind of my, and then with the bus thing, that's my ultimate goal. I'm getting older. One of the disappointing thing about leaving the TV station, it was easy. It was an easy job. It wasn't really complicated. I mean, I always say a monkey could do it, but but I mean, I was, as I said, I was there 7 years, and I knew the routine. I had my days done, and it was long days. They were like 2 9-hour days. I only worked 18 hours a day, 18 hours a week, and it was nice. But as I said, they made some decisions financially that was not profitable, so they needed to cut the budget. And I don't take it personally. I don't hold anything against them. Hey, I know I'm a business owner myself. If I have to let you go because I need to save my company, who goes, you or my company? Well, sorry, it's you. And one of my friends that I still friends with now
Yeah.
is he got cut from full time to part time, so he lost his benefits, which is holiday pay, sick time, vacation time, and he lost 20 hours. So he went from 40 to 20. Plus, he lost his health and insurance, and dental and vision, and then also vacation time and sick time. He lost all that. So he lost way more than I did. I only lost, a couple $100, a paycheck, so it wasn't, but it was convenient. It was nice. So my thing, again, saying that is I was planning on staying there until I would hit 67, and then semi-retire, because it was an easy job. I could still be there and retire, way that, you can make extra money. So, but God had a different plan. Like my not pastor,
Yes.
my evangelist, guy who travels all around the world. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that you left." I said, "Hey, it is what it is. God has, plans. We sometimes don't realize what those plans are until they happen." And I've been busy. I was telling my old boss, who was heartbroken, the fact that he had to let me go. He said, "I'm the first guy he had to let go in like 15 years. He's never had to let anybody go." And he enjoyed. I mean, I was faithful. I was there all the time. I work extra shifts. If you need, he time calling me up on a Sunday after church. Hey, Kevin, can you work on this guy? Is sick today. Can you work? I said, okay, I'll be there in a few hours. So they were heartbroken. So I knew that, and I don't hold it against them. So it happens. God had some other plan. I've been doing DoorDash 3 weeks before I got let go. I started picking up DoorDash because I started DoorDash when it first came in this market, and and I was starting pulling in like 500 a week, working about 30 hours a week. So I was already prepared when they said you're out the door, type of thing, and I just kept doing it, and I've been doing it. I think I'm on week number 6 right now. I'll push over 500, so which is not a lot, but I'm not 20 years old either. I can't. I mean, this place is, it's 24 hours a day. It's just it's just constantly can work. I mean, I just don't like driving at night, but I have a market. My market's huge. I drive in Daytona, Florida, Deltona, Florida, Lake Mary, Florida, Vero Beach, Florida. Basically, I can drive anywhere. I just go on duty. I could be down in Vero Beach, which is about 2 hours south of here, where I used to live, and I have friends there. I went down there a couple of weeks ago, and I made like $200 or $300 from being down there, which is good. So God blesses you. God plans, and he knew ahead of time that I was going to get let go.
Yeah.
So he kind of was setting the stage and stuff like that. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I'm glad you're sticking to it.
Well,
yeah, that's something that only God knows. I mean, we look at it like I was looking at a coach. It was a 2000 Monaco coach, a guy that he worked for Andrew. You ever hear of Andrew Womack, from Colorado? No. Yeah, he's
It does sound
he's a
familiar.
preacher, and he does those schools all over the country. They're Bible schools, and one of his guys worked for him, and he had a coach, a 2000 Monaco, and he was going to sell it to me for about $30,000. And for a year, I looked at it, and then he said to me, "Nah, I'm going to hold off. I'm not going to sell it for another year or so." So okay, so I got another loan for somewhere else, and then 2 weeks later, he changed his mind and says, "Okay, I'll sell it to you if you give me $10,000 now, and you can pay $20,000 over the next 2 years. You can have it." And he says, "Well, if you would have told me that 2 weeks ago when I asked you, I probably would have done that. So it just didn't work out, and because I could have put $10,000 saved in the bank, because I didn't the loan that I got, I didn't have to spend all 30,000 of it. So I did eventually over time, but it's just I could have done that. But hey, it just didn't happen. You never know. I mean, not saying this guy was going to sell me a piece of junk, because it wasn't. It was really in good shape. But you never know. 2 weeks after I bought it, the engine could have broke. Whatever. I mean, it's 24 years old. When you get 24 years old, if you're a coach, it's like dog years. It's like it's like 100. Especially with a diesel and a motor coach, because it's a house and it's moving down the road, shaking, going like this all the time. you got your refrigerator going like this. Yeah, right. Hey, at 60 something years old now, it's like my parts are needing. You got people not. Thank God I don't. We're replacing knees and hips and all that kind of stuff. And I haven't got that far. So, and I hope I won't get that far for a long time. That I have to start replacing. But I have people that are younger than me that they're in there for knee replacements and hip replacements, and basically anything that can be replaced nowadays, they'll replace. It's just. Yeah, you're not saying. But
I was gonna say that.
one topic you didn't ask me a question, but I'm going to ask myself the question about technology. I'm excited about technology. As I was saying, on this computer, the software that we're using right now, it transcribes everything. So everything we say is being documented, and it's pretty accurate. It'll also do a recap.
Wow.
Now it's going to be weird because it thinks I'm the host, so I couldn't change it. So compared to you being the host, it will say that, but it will say like, on today's show, Kevin James talks to so and so and blah blah blah, and it will give a description of exactly, and 99% of it is accurate. I think only one mistake was I did an interview with a girl that her stepfather kind of molested her and stuff, but it said it's her father, so I had to correct that. But that was well before production and before it went went live. So, but in general, I love that technology, the AI, because it's really cool. It gives you that capability of doing that kind of stuff and fixing things. And there's a lot of things computers. I mean, today that we can do that we couldn't do this 10 years ago. I mean, the quality is. I mean, I'm looking at my picture of my camera, which is a 4K, but I'm only shooting in, I think, 1080p. And then each one of your cameras are a different quality. But with Riverside is you're going to send up to Riverside your quality of your recording of your camera, not what the internet sees. So it's a lot better that way. So and that technology is really good, and Riverside's doing a lot. They're weird. They only shoot in, as I said, 24 frames per second, which is theatrical, compared to 29.97 or 30 frames, which is normal video. And if you want to go up, that price goes from $180 a year to like $400 a month. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And yeah, that's that. Yeah, definitely a lot
for that
more
one.
sponsors. And I have a robot that it's called Tiny. It's a little tiny thing, and I don't have it set there, but it's tracking. If I moved, it would move. Like if I went over here, it would follow me. But I don't have it set, so it's not gonna. So it's a little. So that technology is, and it's like I don't know, $200 or $300 for a camera, where years ago you couldn't get a camera for under like 10,000. So, and today's shooting with iPhones. I don't know what kind of phones you guys are using, whether it's iPhone and Android, but 20 years
They are.
20 years ago, you couldn't do that. I had a real expensive Nikon camera that I just gave away to a missionary because the fact that I never use it anymore. I mean, I use a phone like when I go to Branson coming up in July. I mean, it would be nice to have a 35 millimeter style camera, but I'll take better pictures with my iPhone than I would with that other camera. I mean, the other camera does have a little bit different depth of field and a little bit more control, but the phones are doing that.
Yeah.
They were getting smart. I mean, they're really a smartphone. They're getting really smarter. Yeah, so technology it's. I still think, I know, like in the driving business, using GPS and then satellites and stuff, we're still 10 years behind what we really should be for driving, because there's times I don't even have service, and that's the pain in the neck thing. We need to get off of towers and get into satellites. Everything needs to be coming off the sky, because it's just not feasible to cover the market that we really need to do. And then because of the market of being different companies such as Nextel, which actually now I think is Sprint. Sprint is now T-Mobile, and then you get Verizon, you got AT&T, and none of them share. I wish you had one phone that could have all three, and whatever one worked is the one that we use. You could do that. I know on RVs, I've seen things where you have multi versions of the chips, so it goes off the best one as possible. But I haven't not seen any phone that could do all three carriers at the same time. But then you're talking third of the price. I mean, if I pay $100 for T-Mobile, you're paying $300 a month because you want AT&T and Verizon. So technology is good, but and then supposedly Elon Musk is coming up with. Elon's supposed to come up with a phone called a Pi phone. They've been talking it for a while, and it's supposed to use some. They are sending up satellites up there now that do satellite stuff, like for what is this, Starlink. But they're also making them now T-Mobile, that T-Mobile will have access to them. So they are putting some satellites up there that will start be able to access from just a normal cell phone, which would be great. It cover.
Oh wow!
Yeah, right.
How
Well,
much is it?
that's the thing about Starlink. I looked at them for an RV. It's like $2,000 or $3,000 for the equipment, and then it's like $100 and something a month just for. And they would throttle you. They would cut down the amount of speed that you could have and low prioritize and stuff like that. And it's just, why do I want to spend all that money if you're putting me at the bottom of the ring? The ring of the ladder. So technology is cool, and we use it, for the gospel. And we use it as best as possible.
Yes.
There's good things about it, and there's obviously bad things. I mean, people thought about that in television back in the '60s. That's the devil box, all kinds of things like that. But look what we can do with it. So, I mean, even like TikTok, people say, TikTok. There's a lot of evangelistic things going on in TikTok, Instagram. Facebook, even though how much I hate Facebook Messenger, it's one of the worst messengers in the world because it gets hacked so often. There's so many people that get hacked. And then you can't believe anything on Facebook. Can't believe it. True. It's like, oh, that's a good ad. I like that product. And then it's a scam. It's like not the right product. It's just, unfortunately, you can't trust people, can't trust things all the time as at face value. So, all right. Well, got any more questions? I'm sure I can come up with an answer, even if you don't have a question.
Well.
All right. Well.
I had one more.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yes, I wanted to know, Mr. Kevin James, what if the book breakers wanted to have an interview live in person?
You could do that. I'm in Florida. I'm in between Lake Mary and Daytona Beach, in a town called Deltona. It's very public information, so it's very easy. So I can give out the address. If you go to my website, it's there too. It's 777 Deltona Boulevard, and inside a church where you have to buzz to get in, so you just can't walk in off the street unless we open the door. So, but I do interview. I didn't really set I can do it, and I will make it happen. But I didn't really set the interviews for live stuff. I mean, because it's the cameras. I have one camera on me, and then you got your cameras on you, so that works. And I do have one. I call it the Howard Stern camera. I started playing around with the TikTok live thing, and I did a few minutes of it, but it's over to my left, and it will broadcast. And when I do editing, I'll throw it in there because you'll see the whole studio. You can't really see it, but I have pictures that are signed from different celebrities. Like I have one from Taylor Swift I knew when she was 16. And then I have Carmen, and I have Jessica Sierra. No, not. Yeah, I have Carmen, and then I have my other friends.
Carmen.
And I have some books that people have given me, and stuff like that. So I like to show off my studio. Hey, as I said, I want to get the biggest bang on my buck, So I'll do that. I'll do that shot once in a while. But doing the interviews like this is just basically on me. But I can do it. And I just got to figure out. Like when I do the bus. I have to rearrange. I have to make that a studio. Cameras in position. Everything I put in the studio is on the walls, except for 2 cameras or 2 lights that I have as fill lights. Everything is on the wall. Everything is movable, so I can get behind my desk, and my monitors are all on the wall. So it makes it so everything's not on the floor. So it's because it's not a big office. It's probably maybe 100 by 200, 10 by 20 or something like that. So it's not really huge. So I can do it. I just have to change where I put my, change my camera positions, and it can be easily, not as well as I want, because cameras, again, I need a couple more. And eventually they're not that expensive. I can get them $300 or $400 a piece. So I would need a couple more. That way, when I'm talking to the guest, that it could be a guest shot. And my guest over to my left wouldn't be any good looking at the camera here, because you're over here, So I would have to change the angle where that is, so it's looking at me, and then a camera behind me looking at it. I've been, as I said, a photographer since the 70s, so it's like I know all that kind of stuff. I just got to buy the equipment, and it is getting cheaper. It is getting cheaper. So yeah, you're always welcome. Come down to Florida. You'll probably want to come down in the wintertime, not the summertime, because right now, right now it's beautiful outside.
No.
Yeah.
Let's make this clear. It's Tisha saying that. Tisha Breaker will still be here.
Hey. Yeah, road trip. Yeah, a lot of people do come to Florida, especially in the wintertime. Right now, it's cool outside. It'll be cool for a little bit, and then this is probably the last cold front we have, and then beginning of April. So April, May, June, July, and then August. That's like the peak of the mountain, August, and then September, October, and then November, December, January, February, and then March, and then it starts back up again. But that's typical of the weather. We've had a colder weather. We haven't had cold, like freezing cold, but it's been cold. I've been running heat more this year than I have living up here for 7 years up in this part of the woods. It's been colder. But the thing is when the winters are colder, sometimes the summers are hotter. And I'm not a fan. I'll be honest with you. I moved here. I always tell the running joke is, I was planning on moving to Tennessee, but when I was flying here, I overshot Tennessee and landed in Florida. So it's like most people retire to Florida. I'm going the other way. When I retire, I'm looking for like RV property where I can park an RV somewhere in the mountains of northern Georgia, which is, I'm not thinking against Georgia, but or basically Tennessee or North Carolina. Tennessee or North Carolina, the mountains. And I'm going out to Missouri. I can't speak anymore. I lost my tongue. Missouri, Branson, and I always call it as Ozak or Ozak. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but I get it right when I'm out there, I'm sure, because otherwise I'll be made fun of. Yes, that's me, Kevin James. Oh, there's all kinds. There's all kinds of ways. The easiest way is go to my website, and there's 2 ways to get to my website. Well, actually 3, because if you scan the code, you can go directly to my website. QR code. But I'm here now. There's problems with QR codes. People are hacking them, and there's all kinds of scams going out there. So people are afraid to scan QR codes now. But also the website, and it will be www.themillenniumbeat.com. If you forget the word "the" and type in only millenniumbeat.com, you'll also get there. But the easiest way I did it when I was getting the bus, thinking of getting the bus, one of my business advisors told me this is, I don't like that name, millenniumbeat.com. It's like the reason why you couldn't spell millennium. So you call it millennial. No, I'm not millennial. I'm not I'm not in my 30s. It's like I'm not a millennial. I'm a boomer. So the easiest way is TMB, which is short for the Millennium Beat. So it's like my name, Kevin James Kelly, is KJK. So it's TMB 2000. And it sounds like a vacuum cleaner. Like, yes, today we're having a special on a TMB 2000 for $29.99. Write in today and you'll get your offer. Yeah. So TMB 2000 is the easiest thing to remember. And if they go to there's up on the top right-hand corner, there's a little big red button. It's called Be a Guest. And I call it a form, but it really is an application, basically saying, hey, it tells me about yourself, what kind of things you do, what kind of ministries you are in, whatever business you have or whatever you do, and then how can we get a hold of you and your social stuff, your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever else there is out there, TikTok, so that's the easiest way. Just go to my website and hit the red button that says Be a Guest, fill out the form, send it in to me. And one of the questions that it'll ask you, your availability. When is good for you? And I've learned over time, this is where one of the challenges I have. I tell people Hey, you want to be a guest? Great. How is Monday this about this time or Tuesday this time? And then I never hear back from them. I've had people that will send in a request, send me a headshot, send me the release form, and then just not be on my show. And that's the craziest. I said, why did you bother going through all that stuff if you can't get on the show or you are not going to do the show? So this procedure, I'm very detailed. So basically, as I said, there's a be a guest form, which is an application. Once you do that, I'll call you and I'll say, hey, these shows dates are available. What works for you? And I've already looked at what's available for you. So I'm kind of, not going to give you a date that is. I just look at what you're available and my availability is and try to go from there. And I've learned that's the best way for me to book a show. And then we do the show. And then I send out letters like crazy. I have preform letters that I've created. You've had the letters that I've sent out, like, hey,
Yes.
show it's going to, it's edited. And I've got real formalized now is usually once I edit it and stuff like that. And then once it airs, then I send you links to it. And I say, I thank you for being on the show. And I got these nice little pictures that I do of people and things for YouTube and things I've created myself. I'm an artist. When I was in school, I could have been in computers or a graphics designer. So I kind of combined them, So that's the best way. I'm also on Facebook.
Yes.
Everything is under the Millennium Beat. So whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Well, Instagram, I think I do. I don't use Instagram for the Millennium Beat much. Most of it I use TikTok and I use Facebook and then YouTube. Obviously, YouTube is the best way. You can go on there and see all my videos. But again, like I teach the churches, teach people to use my website because that will give you everything.
Yes.
It'll give you the video podcast. It'll give you the video podcast. It gives you my favorites. It'll give you what's current and all that kind of stuff. It's the brochure of the company. It will tell you, and it tells you all about me, what kind of about me and what my story is. And then I have a guest page, which all my past guests, because I want people to feel comfortable. I'm saying, why do I want to be on the show? And then you go and you see all these other people. Everybody that's ever been a guest is on that page. And I like to promote the people. So when you're on my show, you get promoted. Your all your social media links. So if somebody watches an older show, they can go to your page, my page of the guest, look at your face, and underneath it is your links to your emails, your phone numbers, or anything like that. Anything you want to give out publicly is there. So that's. I'm hoping people look up and be a guest. If you got a great story to tell, if you don't have a great story, let us tell you that. It's no, we won't tell you it's a bad story. Let's hear. Let's
Mr. James
you can.
Kelly.
So yes, Mr. James.
We appreciate
that's
you
me.
being on your show.
Yes.
Hey, we all learn from each other, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But our time is up. And we have to say goodbye.
Oh.
Talking with you.
Parting is such sweet
I
sorrow.
know.
Yeah, I know. Wipe those tears away. We had such fun. I'm such a dull person. It's like hard to talk to. So, but thank you very much for this was my maiden version of being on a show other than my own. So I always say I don't look for it, but I'm always willing to do it. Hey, anywhere we can talk about what God is doing and what's doing in my life, and I love to. I don't lack words. So thanks very much, both of you, for having me on your show. I appreciate it. Yeah, just let me know when it airs and all that kind of stuff, and I will promote it on my stuff. So thanks again for having me.
Thank you.
I'm Barbie Johnson.
And I am Tisha Winkler. I was ready to say our network, but we on
With the
Book Breakers, yes. Thank you, Mr. J.
Is
We encourage you
to accomplish your dreams.
keep dreaming. Thank you, Mr. James.
Cool.